Hey, hey, I despise a flogging rooster. So hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. I'm out just sort of making rounds around the property today, and there's a subject I want to address with some of you guys. I know most of you all already know this or can figure it out on your own, but I think it's very important to be said for a lot of the new folks out there that are new to homesteading, new to preparedness. And, you know, some people will say that I'm being negative. The reality is I'm just being truthful because, and the reason, you know, people like me and a lot of y'all out there too, we get called, you know, we're just being negative. It's because people live in a fairy tale, okay? They don't live in the reality of what does it take and how much time does it take to actually start a real homestead or farm and really produce a lot of your own food. It's very difficult, especially if you have more than one or two people to feed. The more people you have to feed, the more you have to grow. We know that historically, it took acres and acres and acres of planting food every year for a family to be able to feed themselves. We know that in historically again, we also know that, for example, as I've said before, when you look at indigenous tribes and what all they did and what all it took to feed them, it took endless acres and endless work, okay? So here's the deal. So I want to address the whole issue of planting fruit trees, you know, bushes, nuts, nut trees, etc., etc. So it's been, it's not quite 2 years. It's been over 1.5 years though, that we started planting trees. And last year we still had, if I'm not mistaken, I think we had 8. And now we're down to 4. So we lost 2 more. We lost the first initial year, we lost 2. And then over this past winter, we lost 2 more. So I'm down to 4. I think these last 4 have set good and well enough that they're probably going to make it. But here's the thing. So when you start to plant certain things, you have to remember that they have a time for maturity. So always, you know, you may just go to Home Depot and start buying a bunch of fruit trees, but depending on what they are and their maturity level or rate and how long does it take for them to get to a point where they're going to produce anything, well, it's good that you're planting these things, but are you going to wait around 5 to 10 years for an apple? That's the point I'm trying to make here, which falls back upon the point that I'm always hammering away with. Regardless of how good of a homesteader you are, regardless of how, oh, there's that rabbit bite. Isn't that cute? I'm letting it kind of, it's bruised and it's hurting, obviously. She got me good, y'all. She got me good. And just real quick, for those of you that are like, have you had a tetanus shot? Actually, I did have a tetanus shot back in 2017 when I got punctured really bad and stabbed in the leg. So, by my fencing. Did you see that video? I know, bless my heart. But anyway, so yes, I did take a tetanus shot at that point. So I'm good, we're good, we're gonna be okay. Gotta be tough stuff, y'all. Gotta be tougher than Cedar Bluff. But here's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how long you've been farming, doesn't matter how good your skills are. You can't predict what's gonna happen on your farm, to your health, with the weather. And clearly we're learning these things right now, right? This is why you have backups upon backups. Okay, I realize that a fresh organic apple is superior in a lot of cases compared to anything that I can buy at the store. But something is better than nothing, especially when your belly is rumbling all around in your shirt, right? Nobody wants to be hungry. So I tell people, plant your gardens, plant your fruit trees, get your berry bushes, plant your asparagus, get your strawberries going. do all of these things, but understand that doesn't mean that they're going to survive, doesn't mean they're going to produce. And if they do produce, what time frame are you realistically in order for that to happen? At our other house up on the mountain, before we moved here in 2020, if you follow our story, you know this. I planted 4 over a 1 to 2 year period, some apple trees. I got some stamen wine saps, antique ones. And I believe we planted those either in 2014 or 2015. And it was honestly not until 2020, no joke, because I even remember talking about it. I was like, huh, yeah, I'm moving away and here I get some apples, that we actually had some decent apples on the tree. We'd had some the year before, but it was like, they were really small and there was just a few here or there. Better than nothing. But did you hear what I just said? So basically what I'm telling you is, it took 5 years for us to get some apples. And collectively, between all 4 of the trees, there was a Golden Delicious, I can't remember, the stamen wine saps, and there was something else. My point here is between the 4 trees with their really first cute year of production, I'm not even sure I had a bushel. So I say this to you again, if you are new to this lifestyle and everybody thinks they're just going to like run to the mountains and live off morel mushrooms, okay, well, I will tell you right now, I haven't been back up there, but my video that's previous to this one, there were 3 and they are delicious. I put them in with my potatoes this afternoon, excuse me. They were delicious, but that would be barely a meal for 1 or 2 people in a daytime. And so you have to be realistic about planting, harvest time, foraging, and the reality of what you will find. If you live in a certain place where you can't have certain things or plant certain things, or you're limited on space, you're going to have even a tougher time. So absolutely, do not ever think that I'm trying to discourage you from getting these things and planting these things. Any homesteader or farmer worth a grain of salt is going to agree with me on this and say, understand the time frame, understand the timeline. And even if you've been doing it a long time, there'll be a year sometime where your pear or your cherry tree just isn't producing worth a flip. So you must do all the things. There is nothing wrong with that. Do all the things, including packing your pantry with what you can afford to get at the store. Another thing you have to worry about, stress about, well, I don't want to say stress, but it's something to think about, is, like I said, right now, the blackberries are starting to come on, okay? Guess what that means? Just as I suspected, next week, we're going to start dipping back down into some cooler temperatures, not so much in the daytime, but in the evening. Now, lucky for us, we're not going to get below freezing that I can tell. We're not past our frost date anyway, but I've been bracing myself going, okay, the red buds were early, way early, and we had a cold snap. I believe we just came out of dogwood winter over Easter weekend, last weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we really cooled down. Okay, I think that was our dogwood winter. So now we look around and we go, okay, when's blackberry winter gonna come? Dogwood and blackberry winter can kill everything that you've got. Seriously. We have to fight that. So here's what I'm saying. Here it is. Right here we are, almost in the middle of April. And some people are already putting out their tomatoes. I don't know why they are, because you still have winters that are going to hit your farm and hit your crops. I mean, I got some tomatoes yesterday because I got a killer deal on some from a little guy, 50 cents a plant. And so I took advantage of that, but I'm not putting them in the ground yet. No way. But the blackberries are starting to bloom. And I went, we're starting to see some blackberry blooms. So that may coincide with this cold spell coming up. My point here is you're constantly battling and dealing with things that can absolutely wipe you out. Not to mention extreme heat. Who knows what that's going to be like? Do you know that last night and the night before, we're in the middle of April. We're already seeing lightning bugs. We normally don't see that till the end of May, starting into June. When you go to the Smokies and you see the the lightning bugs all do their thing and you ride up in the mountains and see it. It's a great show. That's usually the second or third week of June. So we're seeing them now. So the seasons are weird, the times are off, and the weather can throw you for a loop. So this is what I'm saying. Put your best foot forward, plant what you can, tend to it, take care of it. But in the back of your mind, understand it could all fail. And your grandparents went through the same things, okay? That's why they were so good. That's why our great-great-grandparents were so doggone good at everything that they did, because they failed probably just as much or more than they succeeded. But see, this is all they did. This is all they could, this is all they had. And like I've said before, there's no way that my great-grandmother or my great-great-grandmother would have ever turned their nose up to a can of peaches or canned apples or anything they would have ever gotten to put on the shelf, because like I said, they understood very well what they were up against, and starvation was never an option. They had to make sure that was never the option. They had to do something else. Guys, I hope you're doing well. I'm walking the property looking for some more morels, just to kind of see if we've got some more. They were delicious. And working out, I am going to get some more fruit trees. That's on the radar here in the next week or two, to get them in the ground. But again, it's a gamble. It's always a gamble. Being a farmer or homesteader or growing your own foods, especially when, there's only one or two of you really working it, and you're busy with jobs and kids or whatever else is going on, it's always a gamble. So be smart and have backups upon backups. Guys, like, subscribe, and share. I'm finally going to get a shower today because I smell worse than a goat. But this is the way it rolls, okay? This is what it looks like. And, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for our country. Keep your mind in check. Stay busy. And guys, like, subscribe, and share. Love you, love you, love you. And we'll see you on the next video.